Good afternoon, I'm Marie-Andrée Auclair, and the first poem I'm gonna read is also the first poem of the chapbook that we wrote in a way together, Adrienne and I. And the first poem and the last poem were collaborative, and that was quite interesting to alternate lines in some ways. Skipping stones. You lie on a sandy beach. The sun-warmed sand pricks your skin with finely ground glass specks. The lake has not yet licked smooth, while worn flat pebbles remember the granite mountain that looms over your lonely shore. Her smooth stones, each fitting the hearts of her palms, trace low arcs above the water, touch and rebound until their energy is spent. Then one of us sacrifices the next stone to the god of placid waters. You sit, arms akimbo, fingers idle, attentive to clouds and birds, the patterns of flight and wind, the peaceful motion of branches and leaves that draws you to its breath, to yours, and you feel yourself taking root like grass and trees. That is what we do, throw our poems on the page of a common lake. What sinks quickly is culled. What uncolds its energy in many rebounds stays. A blended poem for a venture, another bird in the sky. We had a method to write this poem together. I don't quite remember. Use each the same number of lines, like 9, and then try to make something and trimmed it into what we thought would be satisfactory.
Yes, that pretty much explains it. We did work on those, both the first poem and the last poem of the book together. It was an organic process. We went back and forth on it several times. So by the time we polished it, I couldn't really, I would have to go back right to the beginning to see whose words were whose. I'm Stevenson, and I'm going to read you one of my poems. So this is from the interior of the book. It's called A Garrisoned Vale. The valley is as deep as a damaged heart, guarded round with nettles and broken glass, thorn bushes and false smiles, entry barred to all but a chosen few. The guardian who lives there must not be confused with the chosen. Although he has given them access, he guards his own silences. Who shall unwrap long hidden secrets and expose the guilty in their shame? The guardian is wary of giving up the key. He remains steadfast in shadow. Come, you who suffer and despair, join the ranks of the secret keepers. Hoard your precious pain, be sheltered in this veil. Then, when self-love resumes, take your pain and speak it to those who need to hear. You will be believed. I think that's self-explanatory.
Yes. So I'll continue with my poem from inside the chapbook. It's called Outlook. A cardinal ruffles the air. I trace its red flash through swinging branches, flutters of green, the echo of its song. My eyes scan the small space around my boots, each step the center of a brief circle. That is what I care about this morning. The path, vague pattern of rocks, leaves, and twigs that sneaks between soaring trunks, does not exist until I walk it. I follow a crooked line that my eyes cast ahead. I climb steps made for drunken giants who thirst for my devotion, which I give, which I gladly give, afraid of the loose stone, the pretty mossy one, and the tuck of my backpack. Balance, no longer a given, demands scrutiny. When at last I sit, unhook my pack, take slow breath, my body warm and thrumming, I notice an absence of inner verbiage, no volley of thoughts to keep me company. Instead, my mind broadens over rhythmic waves of hills, calm and vast, and dissolves. That poem was inspired by a trek I did in Japan that was nicely marked with signs, but not really marked in terms of where to put your foot next. So that's how I had to climb through rocks in order to get further. And it was quite an experience and a good view of meditation and of being a humble part of the landscape. Thank you.
So to conclude the reading, I'll read you the final poem of the book, which is also a jointly written poem. And again, this was a fascinating process, and we will probably do it again, but we specifically wrote these two poems to bookend the chapbook. And somehow they managed to do the trick, I think. Kaleidoscope. A flick of the wrist, and the world in shards of colored glass shifts. We glean meaning from startling juxtapositions, where we find good company for our journey and plot our path ahead. Phrases uttered by other mouths inform our meanderings. We rotate around a sun, any sun, breaking circles into spirals. Even if our final destination is certain, nothing is fixed, not even our trajectory, and we may flick our wrists again for another hope until at last brightness fades. Thank you, Jennifer, for the opportunity to read.